It's actually a roster.
Yeah.
So each day, the name for the male and the female changes. So, like on one day of the month, you've got Ruth and Lehi, and then Eunice and Jesse, Lucy and Aaron, Grace and Gabrielle.
Imagine having your new name as Eunice. Like, how fucking unlucky.
Imagine having your new name as May.
I actually like mine because it's
What
one
a
of the
basic
characters out of
bitch
one of my
name.
favorite books.
Donna. Oh, one of them is Martha.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And not even Rhoda.
Beautiful.
Or
Rhoda.
Simeon, Japheth,
I
Claudia.
remember being told that
Japheth. Isn't it Japheth?
Japheth, close enough. Abinadi.
Geppetto. I remember being told that these, like, the new name we received was actually, like, the name of our spirit before we came to Earth. Like, that was our spirit's name.
I mean, you gotta think of it from God's perspective, all right? He's having billions and billions of children.
He's
Do
on
you
a
think he's
budget.
gonna come up for names for all of them?
There's not enough money to get names
He's
for
just gonna
everyone.
give up after a while.
101 baby names.
So some of the ones I found, like, they show you earlier on because they change every now and then. So like June 11th, 1983 to 93, they had some like Susanna, Rebecca with a K, Hulda,
I know a Rebecca.
Abish.
Okay. Abish.
Hagar, Abigail.
Your
Things
new
like
name
that.
is
Really weird
a
old
bitch.
ones.
I ain't no bitch.
Job, Nimrod.
Oh,
Hey, Nimrod.
You're such a Nimrod. That's all I can think about.
I mean, like, if I was a guy who'd gone through the temple and they told me that my new name was Nimrod, I'd be like, God
I want
damn
a
it.
new one.
God thinks
I get
I'm
another
an
new name.
idiot.
I actually have a question for you, Sister Donna. So in my mind, when you get sealed in the temple, so you have your sealing and then you go to the veil and you have to go through that whole ordeal, which we'll speak about later. And then, but it's like your husband standing as God. And so that's when you tell your husband your new name so he can like revive you in the second coming. But
he pulls me
you
through
never
the
learn
veil.
his new name.
Yeah.
So the men know the women, but the women don't get to know the men.
So let me get this right. You know, you get up to the reception when you get to heaven, and he's like, if he gets a second, he's like, okay, I'm looking for Donna. Yeah, cool. She's over there. You get there, and you're like, oh, it's my husband. He kind of looks like this, and he's like, I don't know who this is. I'm out of here. See you later. Here's my other 10 wives.
The other thing is that when he gets to heaven and he's all like, I'm looking for Donna, and then they just turn and there's just like this massive group of women. They're like, which
This
Donna?
is the Donna section.
The Donna section. So if you just go down the hallway and turn to your right, you'll reach the Donna section about 3 doors down.
And if your husband's really hot, you get into the room, and it's like that episode, that scene from Finding Nemo. Mine.
Yeah. All of the Donnas just like
swarm,
pile on top of him. Like, please take me to the celestial kingdom. I'm your Donna.
I will be your Donna. I could be your Donna, baby.
This is exactly how I imagine like heaven works.
Oh, I love it.
Amazing.
Anyway, we're getting on. We're moving on with this episode, aren't we?
Oh,
We've got a lot to cover still.
Yep.
There's
We're staying on track.
All right, so new names, not special at all, just on a rotating roster. You know, it's the same name for everybody that goes through on that day, which sucks. I thought my name was special. But I mean, I'm
we're
also
not special.
Bethel.
I mean, I'm also kind of glad that, you know, some temple worker didn't look at me and just be like, yes, you're a Donna, because I don't really
You
love
look like
that
a Donna.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's, I think that's where it ends, basically, the whole initiatory thing. You get washed, you get anointed, you get a new name, and this is supposed to prepare you for the next ordinance, which
The
is
endowment
probably
of the power of God.
yeah, which is like the weirdest shit. So like, and it's also called a weird thing as well. Like I remember trying to explain to non-member friends about like getting endowed and stuff. And like normally
well endowed
when people
has a different meaning.
Yeah, it has a very different meaning in the world. Like,
wait, I'm sorry, my Mormon is showing. What's the worldly version of endowed? I'm so sorry.
Well, if someone says you're well endowed, you have a very large appendage as a male.
Yeah.
Oh,
Quite a compliment.
Shower, not a grower.
No, just think about all the people I told I'm going to get endowed.
How was the endowment? It was I was very well endowed.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It can't help you now.
Oh dear.
All right. So the endowment. Okay, so let me kind of set a bit of a scene here. So you kind of go through a couple different rooms in the endowment, but you're with a bunch of other people. So it's sort of like they don't have pews. They've got like
a little theater.
Chairs. But yeah, it's like a little
it's like
theater.
a mini cinema.
Little mini cinema with
but the chairs are
beautiful
uncomfy.
paintings all over the walls.
Yeah, really beautiful murals all over the walls that are supposed
really
to represent
ugly
like
color
the creation of Earth.
Yeah, or beige.
And there's like an aisle down the middle and like an altar at like the front of the room, which is near like in front of the big screen that they show this video on.
Usually like a drop down screen. It's good. They go to start the video and you got to wait for 10 minutes for it to wind down. It's like nearly there.
And it's always old people trying to run it, and so they spend 10 minutes trying to figure out how to make it
How do I
work.
turn it on?
Yeah.
Oh, no, how do I get this working?
Yeah, because everybody whispers.
Oh God damn.
Yeah. So when you go through the temple on your first time, you take like an escort with you, not a prostitute. You take
a well-endowed escort.
Oh man, that would have made it way more interesting
before they made up these. Like, yes, this is what it's gonna be called.
So they call it an escort, but it's basically like somebody.
Guide.
Yeah, a guide. They're basically just there for moral support, I think, because they don't actually do anything. Like they just sit next
a guide on
there
your journey to
like,
enlightenment.
Yeah.
Well, my escort was my dad. And
Mine was my mum.
Mine
was my mum.
It was
I'm
absolutely
so
no help.
sorry.
I think all he did was help me to tie my clothes up.
Yeah. Oh, the clothes part is so confusing, and they change it like every 5 minutes, and I'm like, fuck, I just got dressed in, like this way. Now I need to change it. Like,
so essentially, it like Sister Donna was saying, it's split up into 3 parts, and so the first one is you're in this little beautiful cinema room, and you're watching a video about the creation and about the initial commandments. It's really long.
That first dream is supposed to represent the lowest kingdom of heaven too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you work your way up.
Yeah. And so as part of it, you go through some of the promises about wearing the garment, and then you also have to put on, so you start off wearing just white clothes, and then they're like, okay, could everyone stand up and put on your apron? And so you have to tie up an apron that represents the leaves that you wear, that Adam wore in the garden. And this type of stuff came in after J. Smith was in the Masons, and they wear aprons. So this is the first part of the culty thing, is you're wearing an apron. Do you have the hat on to start with?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think
I should have watched it through just before we did this. But anyway, so that's the first part. And so you go through that, and then you take it off again, and then you put on these robes. And so you've got to put them on specifically over one shoulder, and you've got a sash that you've got to tie up, and then you've got a hat that you've got to put on, and then the little tassel part has to hang off one side properly, and then you've got to put the apron back on again over the top of it, and you've got all these different robes and shit hanging everywhere.
And you have to take your shoes off every single time.
Yeah, you have to take your shoes off, and especially
Which
if you're
makes
new.
no sense.
You can't practice it beforehand because you're not supposed to. And if you're new, everyone else is like done watching you.
Yeah.
changing
So
into these
awkward.
robes.
I
and
literally
like,
wanted to
So
throw up.
much pressure when you're like the last one standing, trying to figure out how to fucking like, get it adjusted right and stuff. Because that's the other thing, like you've never tried them on before, so you haven't like adjusted everything to be like, the straps for like the apron and stuff to sit where they're supposed to
I'll be
sit.
honest.
And like,
I was a little bit lucky. Mum and Dad were a bit more lax. They're like, okay, look, let's be honest. Let's just come into the bedroom and, put these on. We'll show you how to do them up before we get there so you know what you're doing. We're not going to tell you about it, but we're just going to show you how to put it on.
Yeah,
They
see,
were
I got to
realistic.
try on like my dress and my stockings and my shoes, but they wouldn't let me do like the actual ceremonial robes.
Yeah. No. Well, so there's a few different things that kind of go on in the video.
I will
particularly
post
interesting.
a link to, so like if you are interested, you can watch these videos for yourself.
Yeah.
We'll post them up. They should already be up by now because we're recording this episode ahead of time. So by the time we post it, we should have posted a lot of this stuff on Facebook already.
Yes.
But if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah. So, they do kind of explain a little bit what the purpose of the endowment is in, I think, it must be before the video starts. So they say, your endowment is to receive all those ordinances in the house of the Lord, which are necessary for you to enable you to walk back to the presence of the Father, passing the angels who stand as sentinels, being enabled to give them the key words, the signs, and the tokens pertaining to the holy priesthood, and gain your eternal exaltation. So
I
basically,
always imagined, like, I don't know where I saw it from, maybe Lord of the Rings, like, those really huge statues. I always imagined like you'd have to walk through like this pathway and like there'd be like these huge angel statues standing and be like, what is the sign? And like if you got it wrong, they'd just like bitch slap you to hell.
That's exactly how it happened.
All right.
Yeah.
Stop recording. Okay, we're at 43 minutes.
Oh fuck already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Should we do a part 3?
We should do a separate part for ceilings, I think. We'll do that in a different episode.
Yeah, that's fine. When we get into the marriage part, we'll do that. So if we churn through this, I reckon we'll probably end up going just over an hour for this. That's fine. It is what it is. It's a bit longer.
Yeah.
We want to get what we're going to in. But yeah, so if we churn through it, sort of pass through. So the next thing is kneeling at the altar. Bless your soul.
Thank you. I need it after this episode.
Then we talk about law of sacrifice. And then we start going through the signs and tokens.
Yeah.
And then go to the prayer circle.
Yeah.
I should actually contact the missionaries and see if they want to come on for an episode.
They probably have to ask the mission president, and he said no.
Lame.
But if they didn't have to ask,
I'll find cool missionaries who are like, we can ask for
just
forgiveness.
secretly record the conversation.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
At the start of it, just all calls are recorded for quality and coaching purposes.
Yes.
I did highlight as well, there's like this one point before the endowment starts where they say basically if you want to pull out, like this is the time. And that's like before any of the weird shit happens. So that's really the only opportunity they give you to leave.
Oh yeah, if you proceed and receive your full endowment. Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't even know what's going to fucking happen, so...
Yeah, so, like, how can you make a decision at that point?
Yeah,
Again, informed consent.
Yeah.
Is not a thing.
Okay, cool. So happy to go. What do we want to aim for? Another 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Aim for content and then like a couple of minute wrap up?
Yep.
Cool, sounds good. And 3, 2, 1, and start recording.
So another thing that I just wanted to touch on real quickly, before they start the endowment video, they do explain a little bit about the endowment, and they say they give you an opportunity to leave. So they say that, if any of you desire to withdraw rather than accept these obligations of your own free will and choice, you may now make it known by raising your hand. And so, you can put your hand up and you can leave, I guess.
You get escorted out.
Yeah, but that's the only time they do that through